Hello and welcome back to OC Avery. So on the 22nd of November we released the results for the Natives and Norwich online show, which was the first ever online bird show, which was based on the natural and the normal exhibitions that would be taking place this time of year, but obviously couldn't due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, today's episode is going to be just based on the show. So we're going to take a look at the 4 section winners. So the first section is the native section. So we have all the native hardbills in there and a few native softbills. So we're going to take a look at the top 7 birds in those classes. Then we're going to take a look at the mules and hybrids, which is section 2. And there are 5 winners in there, so ranked from 1st to 5th in the whole section, and in there was 5 classes. So there was a lot of good competition there and some absolutely fantastic mules and some fantastic hybrids on display. Then we'll take a look at section 3. Section 3 was the Norwich section. So we had a section just dedicated to the Norwich canary, and we had a really good turnout. I believe it was around 250 Norwich were entered into that one section. So it was really a good competition, and we had 7 Norwich come up for the winners. So the top 7 Norwich we're going to be taking a look at as well. And then section 4, which was the any other variant canary. So we had I believe it was 15 or 16 classes in that section. We had lizard canaries, we had Yorkshire canaries, we had Gloucesters, we had red factors, we had razzers, jasps, Irish fancies, fifes, anything, any other type of canary, you name it, it was in that class and in those sections. So without further ado, we're just going to take a look at those, and once we've looked through there, we're going to take a look at the overall show winner, which was an absolutely fantastic bird, which we'll get to in a little while. And then we'll be looking at the birds that I entered into the show and where some of those placed, and obviously just where they need to be improved. As I am a novice, this is my 2nd year, so I was showing against champions in this show, and I am pleased to say that I'm very glad with the results that I got, and some of the places that I got against some other champion breeders. Also, just a quick something to mention, I'm only going to be reviewing the top 3 birds in each section, and the reason being is that if I was to review every single bird in the whole, in all of the sections, I would have about 30 birds to look through, which would make this episode over an hour long quite easily. So it's only going to be the top 3 natives, the top 3 mules and hybrids, the top 3 Norwich, and the top 3 any other variants, and then we'll look at my birds, the best in show, and a few other mentions. So please just sit back and enjoy the show. Now in 3rd place we have the native bullfinch cock, shown by Wim Gillison. So that is a really nice bird, this bullfinch. As you can see, this bird has got some really nice red on it. It's really clear, it isn't patchy, so what we're not seeing is the introduction of chlorophyll red or any other colour food halfway through the molt. We've got all the nice clean colour. It's really well cut as well. You know, we don't have the merge of the grey into the red. We like to see nice clean cut of that, and that is a really good example. The black is brilliant on the bird, the cap and the wings, and I really do like this bird. So really well done to Wim, and that is a lovely native bullfinch. So in 2nd place in the native section we have what looks to be a lesser red pole cock by Jason Coventry. Now this bird is a brilliant example of exactly what a normal lesser red pole should look like. We've got a really cobby bird, really typey, some really good markings down the flanks of the bird. By the looks of it, we have 3 or 4 distinct lines that carry on straight through the bird, rather than being patchy and sort of separated all straight down the sides of the flanks of the bird. We've got a good colour of red on the chest. The bird's, it's showing itself really well in the cage. Really good cap, really good colour. So absolutely big well done to Jason for that bird. That is absolutely fantastic. And the winner in 1st place of the native section is a Greenfinch cock by Darren Bond. Now, I have seen Darren's birds in the flesh, and they are they are really something to behold, especially for greenfinches. You know, there's a lot of competition out there in the greenfinches, where there's classes of, you know, almost 40 or 50 birds in some cases. I believe we had a class of 30 in the greenfinch section in the Natives of Norwich show, and yeah, this bird has come first, and it really is a brilliant example. So we'll take a look at that bird now. Now, I'd be saying this is a yellow bird. If you do think different, then please just comment below if you think it's a buff or a yellow bird. I think this is a yellow bird. Really cobby, really typey. So I think that is a great example of a greenfinch cock, and really a big well done to Darren for that bird. You know, this is a major greenfinch right here. You know, this is probably one of the best, if not the best, greenfinch I've been to, you know, actually seen an example of. I haven't seen this bird at the shows, as I do believe it's unflighted. Please do, again, if you know and you've had a look, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't ran the native section, but a really good example of a greenfinch. So big well done to Darren for that bird. Once again, Richard Wilson comes up with third place, which is a goldfinch mule. I believe it's goldfinch mule, it could be goldfinch siskin. Either way, really nice example of a goldfinch hybrid or goldfinch mule. I will be going, this is a goldfinch mule on here. You know, really good colour on that bird, definitely a yellow bird. We're looking at as well that we haven't got the general sort of model of a goldfinch mule, which is more of a sparrow sort of colours on the back, the browns, with just a mask of a goldfinch and then a bit lighter underneath. We've got a definite, you know, quite a unique bird here, really well colour fed. So we have the red extending from the mask and all the way down to the legs of the bird. You know, we've got the black wings as well. I think it really contrasts well on this bird. So a really big well done for Richard with third place with the goldfinch mule. And in second place is Richard Wilson once again. So, you know, that's a really good turnout for Richard in his mules and hybrids especially. And we have a variegated greenfinch mule, but quite a lightly variegated greenfinch mule. So looking at this bird, it's been colour fed, as you can see. We've got the orange, but I think it's a really good example of variegated greenfinch mules. I would suggest that this bird was bred from probably going towards it, definitely a clear Norwich, and probably a pied greenfinch on that, because it's quite unusual to get variegated mules out of normal birds, especially if you put two normal parents. It's shown itself really well in this cage. It's upright, it's got some good colour feeding, it had been done to it. It really is a good example of a greenfinch mule, which is something that I strive to produce next year with my Norwich greenfinch pairing. However, I do have a normal greenfinch hen in that pairing, so it would, you know, I would be getting more darker normal mules rather than the variegated mules which we're seeing here. And a worthy winner for first place is Stacey Turner's crossbill Norwich mule. You know, it's a fantastic bird and a really good example of what a crossbill mule should be like. So taking a look at that bird now, we've got some really nice colour coming through on that. It's not an empowering colour, so we aren't seeing just like almost burned in colour feed, in my opinion. It's a really good example because it shows as well the 50-50 split of both parents. I do believe that this bird was bred from a parrot crossbill as well, which is really why it's such a big bird and it's filling out the show cage. So, I mean, I've been lucky enough to see that bird in the flesh several times, and it really is quite remarkable and, you know, really something to behold, that bird. So a big well done to Stacey with that bird in first place in the mule and hybrid category. So a big well done and a really good example of a crossbill mule. Another one by Akim Spike is I believe that again is a buff Norwich here. It's a really good example of a Norwich again. Really good head on that bird. Really do like that. Really well rounded over the top. Yeah, it's quite a cobby bird as well. We haven't got a lot of luck on the wings, but again, I'm not a Norwich man, I'm not a Norwich judge, so I can't judge the bird as well as I could with the natives, and then still I'm only a novice, which is why I'm just giving you my opinion on the bird. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong, I'm just saying what I'm observing. And that really is a good example of a Norwich in third place, so a big well done to Akim for that bird. In second place is once again Akim Spalek with what looks to be a buff variegated Norwich hen. Now this bird is, I think it's a great example of a Norwich, really. It's a big bird, it's cobby, it's really, it's not shown itself as much, so it's not as active on the perches, but we're getting a good look at the bird, and it's, I think that's a good example of a Norwich. I really do like that bird, and obviously we had one of the best judges for Norwich actually judge these guys, so we definitely have a trained eye, which we'll come to talking about the judges later, who judged what, and just a big thank you to those judges. But well done to Akim with the second best Norwich in show. So Darren Munden took best Norwich in show, so in first place with the Norwich with, I believe, a yellow Norwich. Can't make out whether that's a cock or hen. I'd be going cock on that bird personally. So to me, I think that is once again a wonderful example of a Norwich. You've got a really big bird, really cobby, typey, got a good head on the bird. I would say though, and I don't have a trained eye for Norwich. However, I would say that we've seen a slight bit of droop on the wings, a little bit of the drop wings, which is a shame. But overall, absolutely fantastic Norwich. So a big well done to Darren for that bird. That is a great example of a Norwich, and I really do like that. So a big well done. Thank you for competing in the show. So, third place was taken by Leonard and Mayer with their Irish Fancy. So, as you're looking at this bird now, you're going to straight away notice how upright that bird is. And now, that is something that is quite unusual, especially in birds generally as a natural, but it's how they're bred, and specifically bred to look like this. And absolutely fantastic position on the bird. It's definitely, I think that is a clear yellow, Irish Fancy. I mean, that's a stunning bird. I think that's an absolutely great example of an Irish Fancy. So upright, almost a straight back on that bird. So a big well done to Leonard and Mayer for that bird. Absolutely class. So in second place we have Alan White with a Gloucester Canary. Now again, it's sort of just, I'm not starting to understand how the Gloucesters are judged. So there's two classes of Gloucester. I believe it's the Corona, which is a bit subjective at the moment, obviously, and I'm afraid I can't remember the name of the other type. But there's two types of Gloucester, and you generally breed the two together. You want a crested and a non-crested bird. So we'll take a look at that bird now. That is, I believe, a buff Gloucester, I'd like to say. A green Gloucester, or is it a normal? But either way, really good example of a Gloucester there. Good cobby bird, showing itself nicely. It's working the perches. I can't really examine the fault on the bird, to be honest, but either way, it competed in a very large class of Gloucesters, so an absolutely fantastic win for Alan. So a big well done to Alan for the Gloucester. And in first place in the Any Other Variant Canary, so the best Any Other Variant Canary in the show was by Bill Clare, which is a Red Factor. Now, I think this is probably the best example of a Red Factor that I have seen. I have seen quite a few Red Factors. I did used to keep them in the past when I was a bit younger, and I've seen quite a few at shows now. That bird is working the perches really well. It's got a clear cut between the white on the wings and the red. It's definitely a yellow feathered bird, so it's definitely intensive feathered. Now, I really do like that bird, so big well done to Bill for that bird. I mean, it's cobby, it's got the shape to it, it's got the size. I think that's a really, really good example of a red factor. Now, they are something that I might look to get into within a few years' time. Might be something that I do if I fail with my satinets, which would be surprising, to be honest, considering how easy canaries are to breed and everything else with that. But we might look to add a few pairs of red factors in the future. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe and you'll get to see the development of my birds in future episodes of the show. So now we actually come to the best bird in the show. So we had over, I believe it was about 1,400 entries into the show. So a really great turnout, especially for an online show as well. We have exhibitors from UK, Ireland, we have a few exhibitors from, I believe, Belgium, we've got some guys from Italy in there as well. So a really good turnout for the show, and obviously some absolutely brilliant examples of birds we've seen today, as well as a lot which we haven't seen today but were in the classes and got second place and third place, and right down to some of the lower ones. They're still really good birds. And we decided how we was going to judge the birds. We had to get a best in show, and we had basically the winner of each category. So we had the natives winner, which was the Greenfinch. We had the mule and hybrids winner, which was the crossbill mule. We have the Norwich winner, which was just a clear Norwich, and then we have the any other variant canaries, which was the red factor. So we competed the four against each other in saying which was the best bird in the show. What did we, as the admin and the guys who run the show, what did we think, as well as asking the judges' opinions, just as an overall, what bird would you say is best? Obviously, we have bias there as well because we had judges for each section who specialise in a certain breed or type of bird. And that's when we came to this decision that the flighted Greenfinch cock by Darren Bond was the best bird in show. So we'll take one more look at that bird right now. I want to say hands down the best Greenfinch that I have seen is this bird right here. I don't believe I've seen this bird in the flesh, or I might have done when I've been to Darren's, but I might have seen it last year. But either way, what a cracking Greenfinch, and what a deserving bird and a deserving exhibitor to actually win the whole show. So yeah, a really big well done to Darren for that bird. An absolutely fine and absolutely amazing example of a Greenfinch cock. It's a yellow bird, it's typey, it's cobby. I can't think of anything else that you want in a Greenfinch, because this bird is literally the model that we strive for. So yeah, hats off to Darren, big well done for this bird, absolutely unbelievable. So just like to say thank you for competing in the show, and hopefully we'll see you all soon at some of the future shows. Obviously we're looking into next year, so the winter of next year. So now we'll just come to the birds that I exhibited in the show. So I exhibited about 25 birds in the show. We had about 7 colour variant birds. We had a few colour variant, I believe it was 3 colour variant Greenfinches. We had 4 or 5 colour variant red poles in there. I had several normal red poles. I had about 4 or 5 Greenfinches in there. I had my 2 crossbill cocks, so I had the colour-fed cock and the non-colour-fed cock. I want to say, what else do we have? We had 2 siskins in there, so I had my best siskin cock and my best siskin hen. I bred the hen this year, and a really good bird. And then we have a few of the mules and hybrids as well. I had a red pole mule in there, I had a linnet mule, and I had a siskin mule, which I bred this year as well. Now, obviously, I'm a novice, especially, so I haven't competed with champions before, and really, my level of birds is sort of, is below the standard of a lot of the other exhibitors, the champion exhibitors, but it's something that we strive for, something that I strive for and that I'm working for, as well as adding the different bloodlines in to basically get myself much better birds, and it's just going to develop and get even better over the next few years. So I did quite well, I must say, considering that I was competing against champions. So I had 5 birds come up out of my about 25. So I'm actually really quite pleased. So the first bird we're going to take a look at is in 3rd place, was my red poll hen. So I actually got this bird a few months ago now from Darren Bond himself. He was selling this bird, and I couldn't miss the opportunity just looking. And I just thought, you know what, put it in the show, we'll see how she does and see how she competes against some of the other birds. And she got 3rd place in the normal red poll category, and there was about 20 or so other birds she was competing against, and she got 3rd place, and some really top exhibitors there, and she beat some of that. So I'm really proud to own this bird, and it's obviously something that we can't miss the opportunity to breed off next year. She's going to be 2 years old next year, so we're going to have to, I'm probably going to get a first round out of her completely. I'm going to probably do straight normals with her, or cobalt cross the normal, and we'll get definitely a first round off her and just let her rear, and then we'll probably take the 2nd round, foster them out, and then let her do a 3rd round, and then we'll let her lay a 4th round, we'll foster those as well, and then maybe let her sit and do a 5th round. So she'll only rear 3 rounds next year herself, but we'll have 5 rounds out of her, hopefully distributed between some canaries, so we can get quite a few stock birds out of her. So then in the crossbill category, I had my 2 crossbill cocks. I had the non-colour-fed cock and the colour-fed cock, and the colour-fed cock came 2nd. Now again, I got this bird from Darren Bond. I just wanted to really just get this bird in a show cage, put it in an exhibition, and just see how it fends. And anyway, he got 2nd place, so I'm dead chuffed with that. As you can see in the video, then he didn't show himself great at first, but then I got him to move, and then he started really showing himself. So he did come up on the bars, which is a bit of a fault, but nothing too major. He stayed on the perches for the most part. Obviously he's colour fed. He showed himself quite well, I believe. He showed both sides, so I'm really quite pleased with him. So that was 2nd place with my colour fed crossbill cock. So next is probably the 2 birds I'm most proud of and most pleased with, which did the best for me in the show. So I entered my Northern Bullfinch cock, who I've got a chap coming to pick him up next week. I bred him this year, as you may remember from some past videos. He was actually fostered by a Greenfinch pair, and he came 1st place. So the cockbird came 1st place. So I'm really over the moon. So as you see in here now, he's sat on the perches. I think he's quite a well cut and well defined bird. We don't have patchiness in colour feed. I colour fed him throughout from the start before he even started to molt straight through. So he took the colour really well. Also the grey and the black, is well cut, so it isn't merged into the red, and isn't. It's just, I think it's a good example of a Northern Bullfinch. But either way, he won 1st against some other northern birds, and some really good northern birds as well. So I'm really pleased with that, and I'm really, that's a good win for me. I won the northern category with a bullfinch cock, and then in 2nd place was his mother, which is obviously a northern bullfinch hen. So I didn't breed her, but I obviously bred the cockbird who got 1st. She's a lovely bird. She could do with a bit more weight to her, a little bit more weight to her, a bit more cobby. But yeah, it's something I can't add to her specifically, but we're getting the youngsters, as we saw with her son, the cockbird that actually won. So I'm hoping next year we will be breeding her with the father of the cockbird who won again. He also carries pastel, so hopefully we should be getting some pastel northern bullfinches next year from the pair. So that'll be great, and hopefully we can really work on the northern bullfinch line I've got, improving that, and then winning more shows with them, fingers crossed. So that was it for the native birds, and then we come to the mules and hybrids, and actually my red poll mule came up with 5th place in, I believe it was, yes, class 2. It did well. There's quite a few birds in there. It was a little bit bouncy, as you're seeing at the moment, which really was the only fault in him, but it's something that can be worked on. I just hadn't really show trained him an awful lot this year. Obviously, we're not expecting shows, and of course the bird's going to let you down, isn't it, when you actually have to film it and actually show it. Even when it's been absolutely fine when I have had him in a show cage previous days before the show. But either way, I'm pleased with him. I think he did a good job. He did compete against some really nice birds as well. You know, there's some cracking birds in there. Variegated goldfinch mules. I believe there's a twite mule or two in there. Some Siskiyou mules in there as well. Some other red poll mules. But he did a really good job, so I'm really pleased with that. So that's 5th place with my red poll mule. So for section 1, the native section, we had Eddie Wells and Richard Lawson. So the Lawson and Wells partnership judging the whole section. So a big thank you to Eddie and Richard for that. It's much appreciated. Obviously, you guys breed some, absolutely great birds. So you've got a really good feel for the standard and the quality and exactly what's needed. So big thank you to you guys for doing that. And really, I think that comes from all of the natives in Norwich admin and probably everyone else who competed in the show, because we wanted to make sure that any of the judges we got were definitely going to give a good representation of what would happen at a normal show and obviously pick the best birds. So then we have the judge of the mules and hybrids section. So very big thank you to David Henderson. I've not met David personally. I haven't seen an awful lot of David's birds, but I definitely have heard of David. So just really a big thank you to David for judging those birds. Absolutely cracking mules in there. So you spent a lot of time looking through those guys and picking the birds. So just a big thank you. We then have the Norwich judge. So big thank you to Chris Goodall for judging the Norwich. Obviously there was quite a few birds to get through. You've done a great job, obviously. Thank you for keeping in contact with me throughout the whole ordeal having to judge the birds, because it was important that we made sure that you understood exactly how things need to be done. If there was any technical issues, then they were resolved immediately, which is obviously something we did really well. So a big thank you to Chris for judging the whole Norwich section. Obviously, Chris, you have some absolutely fantastic Norwich, so you've got a really good feel for the birds. So then we have the overall judge of the any other variant canary section. So that was John Graydon. So really big thank you to John for judging what was most of the whole section, really. That there was an awful lot of canaries to get through, and you did a fantastic job. I mean, I know that I had about 130 in just the first 8 classes, and then I know Kev had quite a few more, especially in the Irish Fancy. I believe there was 170 Irish Fancy in that one section. I know that the class was massive, so there's an awful lot to judge there. Even though you didn't judge the Irish Fancy, it's still a lot of birds. Big thank you to Paul Brown. Paul judged the Gloucester section. I know Paul has some really nice birds, some really nice Gloucester canaries, and got a really good feel for them. So obviously you judged both types of Gloucester. So I know there was the Corona, which I believe is the crested type of Gloucester. And there's once again the other type of Gloucester, which I forgot because I don't really look into and keeping Gloucesters an awful lot. But thank you for judging those. You did a great job. You spent an awful lot of time because there was quite a few Gloucesters to get through. Really big thank you and great job. And then finally, a big thank you to Garvin McGee, who judged the Irish Fancy section. There's a lot of birds in that section. I believe it was, I want to say about 175 birds in that. and obviously with your situation at the moment, and you spent time and took time out of your day to judge those birds, as did all the judges. So big thank you to Garvin for that. You did a great job, and you definitely picked one of the, I would say, one of the best Irish fancies there. A really good example of exactly what an Irish fancy should look like. So thank you to all the judges for judging the birds and taking your own time out your own day just to look at them, judge them, and really just do a really good job. So a big thank you. Then we have, I just want to thank a few more people. So a massive thank you to Avian World Dublin. So Dottie Real, you did, you were really selfless, and you donated a lot of money's worth of prizes to the show, really just to help promote your business, but it also really added a bit of a driving factor to get other people to compete into the show. So a really big thank you to Avian World Dublin. Now, the link to Avian World Dublin's Facebook as well as their website is in the description below. So if you haven't already, please go and check them out and get a lot of your products from them. They've got an absolutely brilliant range of products at Avian World Dublin. That's not only just bird care. I do know that you do other things, so if you can go in store and you are in Dublin, or at least in Ireland, and you can get there, then I 100% recommend it. I know that Dottie, you've got some really good birds in at the moment, especially some champion bloodline canaries as well. So please do make sure you go to Avian World Dublin, or at least go on the website, check them out, go on the Facebook, like the page, follow the page, order some products from them, because you won't be disappointed. Also then, I'd just like to thank everyone in the admin team. Obviously I'm part of the admin team as well. You all did a really good job, so that's a big thank you from me, as young Ollie, as you call me, or at least Mac Finch calls me and likes to refer to me to as young Ollie, because I'm the youngest guy there. Thank you for all the effort that you've put in to set this up. Obviously we went through an awful lot of grief to set this up. That a lot of things to deal with, a lot of things to take into account. We had so many entries to deal with. We had so many questions. When are the birds going to be released? When do we get to see them? When do we get to know the results? And you guys have been really patient. So I'd just like to say a really big thank you to all, and also just a big thank you to taking me on board, and taking me under your wing, showing me exactly what to do, helping me out there. Obviously, I help you guys an awful lot on the technology side of it, because I started and sorted the group out and really made it so much easier. Really just a big thank you to you guys for inviting me to the admin team, and also really letting me take a lot of control with the show and helping run that whole thing. So big thank you guys. So please, for anyone else that's not watching, isn't part of the admin team, or doesn't already on the Natives of Norwich group, make sure you join the Natives of Norwich group. It's probably the best group on Facebook, in my opinion, for birds, especially the native finches and obviously the Norwich canaries. So the link is in the description to the Natives of Norwich group on Facebook. Make sure you join, as you won't be disappointed. Now, for what has been probably quite a rather long episode, as we've looked at a lot of the birds in the show, we've looked at the birds that I've kept. Then we've just thanked everyone for competing, and the judges, and obviously the admin team. So really a big thank you to everyone. Everyone's done really good, and thank you for taking part in the show. Now, I'd love to know what your guys' opinions are on the birds that you saw here today, as well as the other birds on the show, in the show and in the classes. So make sure you either head down to the comments and leave what your opinions of the birds that you saw today, which was your favourite, and why do you like that sort of bird, and really just yeah, I'd just love to know your guys' opinions. If not, just get on the page and comment below on the posts. Again, because I mean, we all love to know each other's opinions on the birds, so please do go and do that. The links are in the description to everything I've mentioned today. We've got the Natives Norwich group. We also have the online show group, which is where all of the entries are stored. So make sure you go on there to see all the other entries. So there you are. That's it for me. So obviously, we've had a bit of a different episode today, but what was definitely a very needed episode to see what was probably going to be the biggest, and definitely has been the biggest and groundbreaking show as of yet. Online shows at least. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and you'll get to see all of my other content. I post weekly videos on my birds and other different things. I've got some exciting videos planned for a few future episodes. We've got probably a few interviews with some of the top bird breeders in the world, at least some of the natives breeders and some of the canary breeders. So make sure you're subscribed because you don't want to miss them. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell, as that will notify you every time I upload a new video. And make sure you share with someone who would like to see this video, obviously my review, and taking a good look at the birds that we had in the show. Also, hit a like, and that just shows me that you're enjoying these videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.